Hello and welcome to C is for Conversation. How good are you at slowing down? So this is the next in our series of conversations, and this one is about that question: how good are you at slowing down? So I think what we've noticed is that although winter is a great time to slow down, and we're heading towards it fairly quickly, although winter is a good time to slow down, it tends to be a time of year when everybody hurtles towards the end of the year. It's finishing everything off. It's getting everything ready so we can leap into the new year and start fresh with big, hairy, audacious goals and all of those things. But actually, in nature, it's a time when things start hibernating, things start going quiet, and start renewing and replenishing for the new year. But it's not what humans do. But maybe it should be. Maybe we should do it a bit more. So that is the setting, I suppose, Kate, for our C's for Conversation today. So how good are you at slowing down?
In about 3 words, not very. Well, that's 2 words, not very, I don't think. Um, I think for me, it's one of those things that I really recognize it's helpful and that I have an aspiration to do it. But where my aspiration meets reality is then I have a real tendency to go, but I just could fit that in. And I could just put that in that little gap. And so having time to slow down and to do less and to kind of go into that more hibernate kind of feeling, I just don't let myself do it. I think I kind of trip myself up, and then I look at my calendar for next week and go, oh, that's a bit full. How did that happen? So I think I know it from a mental point of view, but the actual ability to do it is where I think that I don't always get it right. What about you, Bev?
How good am I at slowing down? I do it, but I do it out of necessity. So I do it when I get to a point where I go, going too fast. I need to slow down now. So it's like an emergency stop rather than a gentle coming to a standstill. And I think it's because, well, I don't know why exactly. But I don't think it's that easy to slow down when you're working in a business and you're working with clients and you've got the pace of things that clients do, or the pace that they operate at, and then you're juggling all of those different needs and the needs of running a business, and so you become quite task focused. And being quite task focused, I don't think lends itself to slowing down, because that's where that squeezing it into the calendar thing comes in. But then that just makes me think about priorities, because if we prioritize the downtime, so Outlook does this marvelous thing now where it says, would you like me to schedule your focus time for you? And focus time is either deep work or maybe it's downtime, or it does breaks as well. So you can go through and it'll just find gaps in your diary and put those things in to make them a priority. So even the artificial intelligence is doing it for us when we don't do it necessarily for ourselves. So in terms of how good am I at slowing down, it's a bit hit and miss. And like you, I recognise the importance of it, but don't necessarily make it a priority consistently. And then we get that emergency stop situation. What else do you think?
Yeah, and I suppose what I'm now thinking about is that so we've been experimenting, haven't we, this month on a Friday. Well, I don't know, it's perhaps more from not working to not working on client stuff to focusing on maybe something that could be could be construed as a slowing down type thing. So my aspiration was on a Friday, I would read the books that I buy rather than just let them sit on my shelf. And I started off very well and probably got a bit worse, because that's always the thing, isn't it? You start off with these big hopes that that's what you're going to do. But I think I've really enjoyed knowing that a Friday isn't for client work, and I've been pretty good at not allowing it to encroach. So I think that, there are ways of doing it. It feels quite luxurious, that, doesn't it? And I guess even just that thought that it sounds luxurious is not the right thought, because I'm almost kind of going, ooh, that's a treat. Should you be treating yourself like that? But is it a treat, or actually is it, what we're saying is it's probably a necessity. It should be that some of that space that you layer into what you do. And I feel like I know a few people who of late who kind of have almost come to the edge of, like you were saying, that emergency stop, has the emergency brake has had to be applied, and they've said to me, I realize I'm really not good at prioritizing myself, and they've almost been forced to by it being, how they're feeling kind of physically or mentally, that it's properly forced them to do a bit of a reevaluation and a stop. But we do tend to see it as a bit of that luxury, self-indulgent kind of thing, whereas actually slowing down, looking after yourself, all of those things should be number one priority. But I don't know, it just isn't. What else are you thinking?
I was just thinking about something that we say on one of our programs about you are your most important asset. Um, but what I notice me doing and others doing is just putting everybody else first. Not all the time. I'm quite selfish. I am an only child after all. But we tend to go, oh no, I must do this for this person or this project or whatever. So we do all of those things and go, oh, right, now I can stop. Now I've done all those things, rather than really focusing on optimizing our energy. I think it's about that, actually. It is about optimizing energy rather than just relentlessly pushing on. We humankind, some humans have this thing where they just push through, push and push and push, and then they go, but it's okay, we'll have a fresh start in January, or a fresh start on the first of the month, or a fresh start on my birthday, or whatever it is. And those significant moments are good for having fresh starts. But on the other hand, it means we're not optimized the whole time. And I do think there's a different way of thinking about it, and it should be about, I think, us optimizing our energy so that we can do our best thinking, because we need to not be so busy in our heads that we've got space to do all the good thinking that we need to do the work that we do, and to come up with the ideas and the solutions, and to think really clearly for ourselves and on behalf of our clients. So I think that makes it more of a priority, but there's still that assumption that it's a little bit self-indulgent.
So that's really nice. It reminds me, so next week on Wednesday, I'm doing some stuff with a client, and we're looking at vitality. And I think that's sort of what you're talking about, and where your vitality comes from, and the law of vitality, that is put in more than you take out. And so, and when you look at all the suggestions of how you become more vital and feel like you are at your most vital, again, it's not rocket sciencey stuff, but it's all of those things that are very easy to let slip because everybody else gets a priority and you don't. I think you said to me yesterday, Kate, when are you going to eat tomorrow? Because my diary literally today, I mean, there have been some changes, but literally was like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, no, I'll just fit it round. That probably shouldn't be the attitude, but I'm happy. And I wouldn't, if I wouldn't ever force somebody else to do that, but I'm really happy to let me do that, because I'm like, well, it'll be fine. I'll just kind of work around the margins. It'll be okay. But I think the thing that I recognize with me, and I was thinking about, was if I let myself have some downtime from a work perspective, then all I do is just fill that opportunity with just other stuff that I know I need to do for the house and for the kids and for the family and for all of those other things as well. So I guess making space in your working week shouldn't just be to fill it with other stuff that you can't do at the weekend, but that also tends to be a bit of a thing that can happen. So what are we sensing here? What's the there's no solution, but what are the things we could be thinking about differently, do you think?
I think probably the reality is that it's a struggle for us, and I think we should know better. We know because we're immersed in a world where we're thinking about how we think, how we optimize our thinking, how we perform at our best, and yet and we are walking our talk to an extent, and then sometimes we don't. So we're inconsistent at it, and so it's a real struggle then for lots of people. It must be, if that's an indicator. And I think so. I think that it's not something. Well, maybe some people have got it cracked. Maybe some people drift easily through life without any sense of urgency, and slow down and speed up with the seasons and all of that stuff, and that's great. But I think there's a huge segment of the working population and others who haven't got that balance right yet. So I think it's one of those things. It's a constant struggle. I don't think it will ever go away unless something changes massively about our social construct. Because if you think about what happened during COVID, I know we're still in it, but it's one of those things. We're going to be talking about this for centuries. but our society changed for a few weeks at least. Lockdown made it different, and we started to behave differently. So we need that external change sometimes to support the internal changes that we want to make. But I think it's always about prioritizing what matters most. What actually matters most is what drives us. So if we're going to put the task of the people's stuff at the top of our list, then we're not going to be able to slow down. But if we go, actually, we're in a period of slowing down, that's my priority. No, I'm sorry, I can't do that, because actually I'm in my slowing down, wintering, hibernation phase. As weird as that may seem to some people, if it's a priority that helps us do our best work, then we should do that, I think. I don't know, it's a bit rambly.
Yeah, so some sort of simple reminders, questions. What's my priority? Obvious but really helpful, kind of, I think, in terms of a question to ask yourself. And I was just thinking something else, and it's totally gone from my head. What was I thinking? Oh yes, I was reading something about exercise the other day, because I could do more of that as well. It's another one of those things, isn't it? I could slow down more and I should do more exercise. Probably with most of the rest of the world as well. But it was a thing about, even if you do just a little bit, well, it's better than nothing. So it was that thought of better than nothing. And I quite liked that, because I think it applies here as much as it does to exercise, that you don't have to go, right, I'm either doing no exercise or a marathon. I can do a bit more walking. I can stand up a bit more than I sit down. All of those things are better than nothing. And so maybe with the slowing down thing, perhaps we need to give ourselves a break as well and say something's better than nothing. So if I do something every day, well, it's better than nothing. And then I might get better and do a little bit more of it. So that could be a thing as well.
So I think that you're just making me think about, I have a wellness score. So this is my wellness score already for today, 71 out of 100. And I'll tell you what it's measuring. Yesterday, 44, right? So let me tell you what's been different about today. I measure 5 things. How many steps I do, and I only aim for 6,000 a day. I'm not into this 10,000 malarkey. 6,000 a day. Be active for 30 minutes a day, because the recommendation is that it's 150 minutes a week. Spend 10 quiet minutes, so that's a bit of meditation. Drink 2 litres of water and get 8 hours of sleep. So today, the biggest difference between my score of, what was it? Did I say it was 44 and 71, and it's only 10 o'clock. The biggest difference is I took the dogs out for a walk this morning. I walked 3,500 steps, and I was active for more than 30 minutes. So suddenly my wellness score goes up. So if I drink a bit of water today and do a bit of meditation, 10 minutes, that's all, I am into the 90s.
That sounds commendable. 90s sounds good.
But that's a really, for me, I really like measuring it that way. They're just lumps of stuff, and they're small things that I should be able to do. But what's really struck me is my wellness score drops right down if I don't get out and do that exercise, if I don't do that walk.
And there is something for me about the beginning of the day stuff as well. So you kind of do it and get it in, because if not, you're always on that countdown to less time, still have to cram it in, less time, still have to cram it in. Oh, didn't manage it, I'll do it tomorrow. So sometimes yeah, doing that bit at the beginning is
Mm.
a really good thing because it sets you up nicely for the day. So if you're going to feel more vital, we were talking about vitality before, if you're going to do that, why not do that at the beginning of the day so you do sort of start well and continue well.
So yeah, there's
Mm.
definitely something about getting a head start, isn't there?
Mm.
So I've got two shout outs here. So Sally Wilkinson being one, because she talks about wake up and walk, which has always been something that I've tried to do, and she really encourages her tribe to wake up and walk, because then you get that head start on the day. And then
Mm.
it makes me think about Jo Cotton, because Jo
Yeah.
often does her trail running at the end of the day after she's done a day's work. Um, so she's really motivated to do it at the end, and it's a lifestyle thing, isn't it? It doesn't
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah.
We have to find where it fits.
Definitely.
Um, and actually, that walk or that trail run, both of those things are a way of slowing down. Because what we're
Mm.
actually trying to slow down is what's going on in our heads. We're not trying to slow down our work rate or our progress on our to-do list. We're slowing down to speed up.
Mm.
And I think that's the paradox that I don't think people find that easy, because there's just that assumption that we must be working really hard, we must push, we must put in extra effort, because we're taught to work hard, aren't we? If you work
Mm.
hard, you'll get rewarded. Well, what if we work smarter and we optimize our energy and we work in accordance with our energy? Can we be rewarded for that instead? That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, maybe we just need to start rewarding ourselves because we shouldn't wait for anybody else to do that. Excellent. So I think have a
Oh, and you've just frozen at a very inopportune moment. So I think we've kind of come full circle, haven't we, in terms of thinking about um, how good we
we've
are at
talked
slowing
we've
down.
talked a little while.
Yeah. I hope you noticed I brought my snail in honor of Lynn Paxman. Can you see my snail? Yes. I
I
brought my
can, I can.
snail for slowness. Um,
Lovely.
but yeah, I think we've been fairly honest about how good or not we are at slowing down, and just it is a bit of a constant wrestle,
Mm.
isn't it? Um,
But it is one, I think it is one of those things that the more you remind yourself and talk about it, it's like, you were talking about those mini restarts, beginning of the year, your birthday, whatever it might be. Well, even if every time you have that thought or conversation about slowing down, if it does just tip you a bit towards doing more of it, then that's no bad thing.
No, and I'm just reminded of something that someone said to me about, and it reminded me about what we do know in terms of you get what you focus on. And often,
Mm.
if we talk and think about, or we're too busy or we don't have enough time, then absolutely that's how it looks. But if we start to think about, this is my opportunity to slow down, or how might I find some ease in my day, then suddenly those opportunities arise. So I think we can help ourselves by just focusing on what it is that we want rather than
Yeah,
focusing on what we don't want, um, and looking for that ease and that slowness. So shall we park it there?
I think we should.
Okay, this has been C is for Conversation. How good are you at slowing down? Thank you very much for listening and watching if you've got this far, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Thanks, Kate.
Bye.